Raw and Nerdy.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Raw and Nerdy. This is episode number 50, the Big 50. We are approaching our 1 year episode in a couple of episodes. We haven't even talked about that at all. I am Joe the Widget. I am joined by my fellow co-host, starting with Rook.
And I am joined by my fellow co-host, Ezzy, my German Shepherd.
If she would have barked right there, that would have been perfect.
That would be great.
I would have made sure I went into the recording, amplified it, put it next. And we're joined as always by Archon.
Archon in the house. Technically, we're still a little ways away from our 50th episode, just because of all the WonderCon episodes and stuff. Where we
You
were
mean the
doing
1 year episode? Yeah. So actually, technically,
Yeah.
if I did the math right, it'd be episode 56.
something like that, because we had at least like 4 weeks of extra episodes for WonderCon. So we're still a little ways away, but we're getting there. I mean, we're getting there.
Yeah.
I would still have to say, because we did record our parts of outside of the interviews and stuff for those episodes. So technically those episodes were still recorded as those episode numbers.
Right, but we did like 2 in 1 week. Like we
Mhm.
did episode like 15 and 16 in 1 week. So it's
We
not
did an extra episode, I believe, for LA Comic Con as well.
right.
So that'd be actually technically be episode 57.
Yeah, we're getting there though. I think the LA Comic Con one though you did 0.5s, or you did a 0.5, didn't you?
Might have been. I have to look it over.
I don't
I'm
know.
actually going to
Either
go
way,
back
we're
through our
getting
episode
close.
list and look.
You'll know when we're there because we'll be like, "Hooray! It's our big 1 year episode." So
Yes,
So we don't
it was
really
a
have
0.5.
a main topic tonight, but we do have some interesting like space news and things like that. And our weeks, of course, I'm just going to go into mine because I had the weirdest thing when we were getting ready to record is I could not remember what I did last week other than work and talk to someone that I always
didn't
talk to
really
all the time.
do much besides work.
Yeah, that's true. The free times I did have, I did play Baldur's Gate 3, and I got my Paladin combo, my Paladin team, up to level 10, and in Act 3 finally. So I'm finally in the new territory of things I haven't seen before, and Act 3 in Baldur's Gate 3 is nuts. I can't wait to do that with you, Rook, because it's so much that you can do in such a small area. It's crazy.
We'll get there eventually.
Yeah, we were at it again today, and we're almost done with Act 1. Raffle stomping everything in our path, other than the really
helps
bad
when you're
rolls.
It helps when when you hit level 6 though, before you get into the end of Act 1.
It also helps when you have somebody to counteract Widget's bad luck.
No, because I was
It
rolling
doesn't
bad
work.
too.
Wow.
I was rolling bad too today. No, it's interesting because we were able to do all this with me doing a fresh respec of my character from a sorcerer to a paladin.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up. You changed your roles completely. The only thing that we're lacking that we should think of some way to fix is AoE damage. We're heavy single target based right now. I mean,
We're heavy single target based, but I do have what's her name? Shadowheart can cast a couple of AoEs. She has Fireball. You know, the best AoE spell you can get.
not really.
Huh.
So, in my personal game, I have my mage, Gale, completely based off AoE. He's got maybe 2 single target spells at level 10, and I can end most fights in the first turn if I do it right.
The problem I'm running into with our play, though, is we keep getting bunched up. So when I go to do some AoE, I run the risk of hitting one of us, one of our party members.
There's friendly fire? That sucks.
It's just like D&D. D&D, there's friendly fire.
Oh yeah, if you're not careful. It's all about planning, really.
Well, hey, we had one good time today where we strategized our attack.
Yeah?
Yeah, these
Because-
two were like into it today. Like I popped into the Discord and I was in there for like probably a good 15, 20 minutes, and then all of a sudden Widget's like, "Oh, Archon's in here. I didn't even notice he's in here." Like they were so sucked into this. I was sitting there talking and everything, and he didn't even realize I was there.
Well, I couldn't hear you. Your mic was so low, I had no idea you were even in the room. got not a sound.
Weird.
We were going at it, though.
I think you just mute me when we're not recording.
And I actually
How'd it
prepped
get?
completely for a fight. The last one, last big one we did, I prepped for it. Bought an arrow of human slaying, or humanoid slaying, opened up with my full critical barrage with that one arrow and did like 28 damage to the boss in a single shot. So, and then we just pummeled him.
Although me respecing to a paladin has been more beneficial because now I pull heavy hitters towards me.
I feel like the arrow didn't do his job if it didn't kill him. If it's an arrow of human slaying, it should have slayed him.
Yeah, it gets like 2 to 21 extra damage to the arrow shot. And with my rolls, no way I got maximum. I had to do a double crit just to get to 21 or 26, whatever I did. But and then I had Lizelle come in and just smash him to pieces. And then Rook's over there like, okay, flick, and he's dead. But we owned it, and we found out that you can end the game pretty quick if you say the wrong things to the Githyanki queen.
We party wiped because we challenged the queen.
She says, I'm going to kill you, and says, game over. That's it.
We don't
no
even
more.
get a chance to fight. It just, game over. Reload.
I mean, she did say she was going to kill you. She didn't say I was going to try and kill you.
True.
There's a couple things I've done in that game where I've had it in the game completely. Like activating Gel's little self-destruct. Yeah.
Or a trap blowing everybody off the side of a wall.
Yes, that too. We did that. That game has so many different possibilities and things you can do. Like every time I play the game, there's always something new I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
Finding something different. And it's been a lot of fun doing that. We got Rook's character just decked out in all the awesome gear. So we got that tank rolling.
Mm-hmm. I never thought a paladin in D&D could be such a good tank.
I mean, makes sense.
Honestly,
Paladins
I'm thinking...
are tanks.
Well, Baldur's Gate 3 is not really true D&D as an evidence for like when someone's prone, they crit on range when that doesn't happen in D&D.
No, in D&D it's a disadvantage roll.
Yeah. So
No, it in regular D&D Archon, your fighters are typically your prototypical because they're geared out to just take a beating. Paladins are more of a support role that can actually tank it.
Well, I mean, that's even like EverQuest. I'm assuming EverQuest is based a lot off of like D&D and stuff too, because it's the same way. I mean, it's your
almost
typical...
every RPG, MMORPG video game is based off of D&D in some way.
Yeah, I mean, it's your typical. Your warriors are your tanks, but then you got your paladins and your shadow knights, which are also tanky, but they're not as tanky as the warrior is. I mean, it's just how it goes.
And in this one, unlike pen and paper D&D, this one is the paladin's a lot more tanky than he should be.
Yeah, that's like the paladin's like the main tank in Baldur's Gate.
Mm-hmm.
But it's tricky with that because you have to stick to your oath. You're oath bound, and you got to follow the moral code of your paladin. If you don't, you break your oath, and your paladin changes.
Mm-hmm. Or in Baldur's Gate 3, he's just weaker.
Yeah, well, you could get a new pathway when you do that. So I'm tempted to actually break my oath at one point with my paladin just to get that unlocked that other pathway. Yeah, it's easy to do in that game with the choices. It's way too easy.
Then you could become a shadow knight.
Well, one of the top two paladin builds, the Oath of Vengeance and Oath.
Yeah. Well, I don't ever look up builds. I just do it and go for it.
No, I was building. I'm talking about the two subclasses. But Oathbreaker isn't one you can choose right off the bat. You actually have to break your... Which, the way I've been playing, I'll be lucky if I don't break it.
Especially with my rogue, because he's kind of an a-hole. So it's bound to happen at some point.
As long as I attack enemies and the wicked, then we're good.
And I did something in my personal game I'm going to do with my rogue in our game because it worked out so well, but I'm waiting until I hit level 8 before I do it. And that's that warrior-rogue combo.
Mm-hmm.
Because the amount of attacks you can do with a rogue's damage is insane.
I need to play my monk in my personal game, Monk, because apparently patch 7, update 7, has really beefed up.
Monk and Ranger are like the two weakest classes. I mean, when I played my Monk in my original game, I did really well with them. I didn't think there was, but everyone's saying like, yeah, Ranger and Monk are pretty much worthless. And
oh, that was pre-update 7. Update 7, one of the biggest changes they did was they made the Monk a lot more beefy on attack.
Well, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
I've been working a ton, and I'm going to be working a ton. Like, I'm going to be working 13 days straight starting tomorrow. Going out of town again for 3 or 4 days. I'm going to be going out of town again.
You guys are open on Sundays?
No. But the election's coming up, and I work for a union who likes to get political. And they like to go for the wrong side of the politics. So it's volunteer basis if you want to join in the campaigning and all that stuff, but which I will not volunteer for. But the offices still need tech support. And the thing that really got me upset is there's a new district manager in my District 4 offices, and she doesn't know what she's doing. She ordered 30 computers to be set up in 3 offices, 2 of which are mine, and she ordered 15 computers and 30 iPads. I have maybe 3 or 4 old computers that I could actually set up, and maybe 4 iPads. And we have no budget to buy new. It doesn't work that way. So I got to pull a rabbit out of the hat sometime this week to try to fill this order. Plus, my other offices also need more computers and stuff like that for phone banking. And I don't know what I'm going to do. I'll figure it out. I have to. It's my job. But I don't see how it's going to be possible, but I'll have to figure it out. That's what I'm going to be working next weekend, because Saturday they're starting the whole campaign thing in all the offices. They needed all those computers and everything set up by Saturday, but I cannot do that. So I'm going to set them up on Saturday and Sunday, whatever I can find and order. So tomorrow is going to be really busy with me trying to figure all that out, ordering parts and supplies that on a budget that doesn't exist. So it's going to be fun.
Oof.
On top of that, I had 2 new employees that started, so I worked 12 hours Friday getting them set up while trying to figure all this out.
Gotta love managers who don't know what's...
Yeah, when they promote someone just so that they don't quit,
Mm-hmm.
even though they really shouldn't be in that role. So if anyone's listening who I work with, I'm just doing that for the show. Don't fire me.
Don't get yourself in trouble, man.
I've been working out 6 days a week now. Started doing that 2 weeks ago, and reason is I haven't been doing a leg day at all. I've been skipping it and just been doing the treadmill every morning, doing on incline, working my legs out that way. But I realized I needed to actually put in a leg day, so that's what I'm doing, and it hurt, and I'm sore every time.
Yeah, leg day's always the worst.
So I put that in
Everyone knows
there.
leg day's the worst.
My week's interesting because I always start off with arm day, starting on Friday. Then Saturday, I go in and do my chest and abs, which is a very hard workout, so I'm most concerned about those. And then Sunday, I do my back, the whole back. Monday, I do a hybrid combination of arm and ab. And then I go into leg day, and then I start doing a hybrid of back and chest, and you get that idea. And I'm still doing crunches in between every single set. I'm averaging over 120 to 130 crunches per day now, and I actually have a 6-pack showing up, so it's making progress. And I've been stuck on that 1 pound hump for the last 3 weeks, and I broke it yesterday. I weighed in at 190, just under 190. I'm getting there. And I haven't seen most of my family in 4 months, and I went and saw them yesterday, my niece's birthday, and they all noticed.
That's awesome. It's good that you got to see some family.
Yeah, I missed them. It's been a while. I used to see them every month, but things changed. People moved, and yeah, happens.
Yeah. Apparently all my family's moving away too. Like, I thought it was just one, and then I found out now like 2 or 3 of my relatives are moving out of the area, and it's like, oh, okay, cool.
I know that most of my family wants to get out of California for good reason, but still.
Yeah, that's fair.
What? You don't want to pay the mileage tax?
The taxes for everything, 62% of my entire paycheck is gone to the state.
Yeah.
And nothing to show for it.
now every year when you go to register your vehicle, you're going to pay a tax for the amount of miles you drove.
Oh, then I am completely screwed.
Yeah, you drive a lot of miles.
Very.
They're
a lot
actually
of miles.
testing it they were just implementing a test, and I forgot what region, but if it goes well, they plan on instituting it.
Well, plus don't forget the other 48% of your check. Anytime you want to buy anything, they're going to tax you for what you're buying too. So
You know what's funny is that my work instituted a 2% raise for cost of living, and the only ones that did not get it are the exempt employees. Guess where I fall?
Mm-hmm.
So no raise for me, and they're getting back pay since July.
well, that's awesome. Like, why do they feel like the people who work the hardest don't need it?
Right?
Well,
I mean,
outside of Joe and his IT crew, most exempt are your managers.
Yeah.
You know the greatest thing about being in IT in a company like that though is that if the IT department were to ever go on strike, it would get settled so fast because they can't do anything without you guys.
Yeah, they would crumble quick.
They would
That's for
crumble
sure.
so fast because there's nothing. They wouldn't be able to make it through a day without you guys.
If
In a
and when I
business-
leave my job, I'm worried about what the IT team is going to do, because there's a
Yeah.
lot that I do that they can't do. I know
In
they'll hire
business-
someone to do it, but
in business, there are two things you never do. Don't mess with the IT people, and you never follow through with what you're saying you're going to do if the other person says, "Can I get that in writing?"
True.
You forgot, don't sleep with the boss's wife either. You never want to do that.
So before I get myself in more trouble with work, what have you guys been up to?
Archon, would you like to go?
Sure. EverQuest. You know me. I love EverQuest.
There's a shocker. There's news.
I love playing EverQuest. I actually, on this progression server, I told myself, every one of these servers I play on, I end up playing a Shadow Knight. So I'm gonna try something new. And I came in, I played an Enchanter, which is a class I've never played before, a fully utility CC type of character. And I like it. It's fun. That's my main. That's what I play. And then I was like, I'm going to make a few alts. And I've made a few alts. And I've made a few alts. And then the other day, I'm like, it's been long enough. I'm going to make a Shadow Knight. And now I'm all about that Shadow Knight. I want to get him to level 60 to max level as fast as I can because I love freaking Shadow Knights so much. They're just so much fun. They're so strong in this game. And I need to have my Shadow Knight. So now I'm leveling my Shadow Knight. Getting ready for Shadows of Luclin, which drops in just under a month, which is also right after Starfield Shattered Space drops, which I'm also prepping and getting ready for.
Yeah, and one of the listeners reminded me today, like, you're working 13 days straight, right? Well, when you get done working 13 days, you're going to be in Shattered Space.
Yeah.
So I might just take a day off or two.
You may have to.
Drop a week of vacation.
I did that when Starfield originally dropped.
Yeah.
I know you did.
You should. I wish I could. I would if I could, but I don't have the days off to take.
No, I need to save mine.
I finally finished with my weird work schedule now. I don't have as much time to listen to my books anymore. But I finally finished book 13, and now I'm on the prologue of book 14, which is the last book of the Wheel of Time.
Uh-oh.
I'm almost done with it. I've been looking at different series. Right now I'm kind of torn. I'm leaning toward either the Mistborn series or the Stormlight Archive series by Brandon Sanderson.
That's a good one.
Which one? I said two.
Stormlight?
I've heard Stormlight's really good. I've heard Mistborn's his best.
See, I like the Stormlight better than the Mistborn, personally.
See, a lot of the people in our Discord likes the Mistborn series.
Yeah,
I couldn't get into as much.
I've been kind of looking at both. One thing that kind of drew me to is kind of drawing me to Stormlight a little is that the first book is like almost 50 hours long, so it's definitely getting my credits worth. So I'm kind of leaning a little bit towards Stormlight. So we'll see. I haven't fully decided. I'm also kind of considering a different option in going through the Riftwar Saga by Raymond Feist, which is another really, really, really good series. I've actually read it once before, but I've never listened to it on audiobooks, so who knows? So, I mean, it's probably going to take me a few weeks to get through book 14 here because of how little I get to listen to it now, but I got a little bit of time to get there. But this weekend was my 5-year anniversary with my wife. So we went on a little weekend getaway up north to a place called Indian Lakes, to a place called Burt Lake in Indian Lakes. Had an awesome time.
Is that the same place you guys went to last year?
No.
Okay,
last
it's different.
Last year we went to Petoskey State Park, which isn't actually that far away. We actually went to Petoskey while we were up there. It's not that far away. It's like maybe 20 minutes from there. But it was a really awesome lake, a really good spot. I mean, we had a blast. Did a lot of nerdy stuff while we were up there. Most of our evenings were spent. My wife has not seen Rings of Power yet.
I read your notes on that. And that's what's making me smile.
I know. I wanted to rewatch the first season before I watched the second, and I'm so glad I did because I realized that I completely forgot 90% of what happened in the first season. So rewatching it, I'm like, oh yeah. And now I'm all excited. And my wife has asked me probably 5 or 6 times, season 2 is out, right? We could start season 2 right when we finish this. I'm like, yep, the first like 5 or 6 episodes are out. I think it's 6 are out right now. So almost the whole second season is out. And so we can get right into it afterwards. We're actually 25 minutes from being done with the last episode of season 1. Like, we watched the whole thing this weekend.
That's awesome.
And we actually went to, while we were in Petoskey, we went to the theater there and saw Beetlejuice as well. And I was really, really worried about this movie because Beetlejuice is like one of my favorite movies as a kid. I hate when they make random sequels to movies that I liked when I was a kid. Like
You know why they do that, right? Why they've been
for
doing
the
that?
nostalgia. Yeah, I mean,
Well, yeah,
it's the
because we're the generation now that is paying all the bills and forking out the money for things. They're trying to appease to us and remake and redo and the movies that we were nostalgic about to try to get us out there. But I heard good things about Beetlejuice, though.
Yeah, and it's kind of a lot of them have been really disappointing. I
Yes.
actually just saw the other day something about they're actually. I know I've heard there's been rumors about this for years and years, but they are actually now making a sequel to Goonies, and that worries me too
I've
because
been following that closely.
yeah. But Beetlejuice, I was very, very happy with. They did such a good job with it. Tim Burton is a genius. That guy is just amazing. I think they did it justice. They the story they gave it fit and it was nice. I really, really liked certain aspects of the movie. No spoilers or anything like that, but like you remember the sandworms and stuff from the first one? Well,
Barely, yeah.
they did them the exact same way in the second one with like the claymation and everything. They didn't try and CGI it and make it modern or anything. They did it just like the original, and I absolutely love that. That was one of my favorite things of the whole movie was that they did everything basically the same way they did in the original. They didn't try and modernize it. They didn't fully CGI the whole thing. They did it right, and I loved it. It was great. So yeah, I mean that was we went out to dinner last night for our anniversary, and we were gonna go to this like really, really fancy pants, have to dress up steakhouse that was there. That's like voted the #1 steakhouse in all of Michigan. We're like, all right, yeah, let's do it. And we get there, and they're like, oh, do you have a reservation? And we're like, no. They're like, oh, well, we could get you seated at 8, which was like almost 2 hours from then. And I'm like, let's go somewhere else. So we ended up going to this other place called Vivio's. It was like an Italian place, like almost next door. I kid you not when I tell you, I am one of the biggest connoisseurs of chicken fettuccine alfredo you will ever meet. Like, I am very picky about it. This place had the best chicken alfredo I've ever had in my life.
It's like
It
me and
was,
lasagna or chicken parm. Two of
dude,
my
it
favorite
was
dishes.
so good. And let me tell you, I don't know how I've made it 40 years of my life and never thought to put bacon in chicken alfredo. But oh my gosh.
That's just the Americanized version.
Oh my gosh, it was so good. It was so good. And then it had like a whole layer of baked cheese on the top. Oh, yeah, I ate the rest of that for lunch today too because
You didn't finish it off while you were there?
okay, so it was our like consolation place, right? So I wasn't thinking nothing of it, and I ordered the dinner and everything. I got a salad with it, so I ate my salad. Lena ordered like the special pizza and stuff, and I had a piece of her pizza and stuff too, because I wasn't thinking that this Alfredo was gonna be like life changing. So by the time I got the Alfredo, like I was already like half full. And I told the lady, I was like, if you would have told me this Alfredo was this good, I wouldn't have eaten all this other stuff before I got it. But oh, it was life changing. And from now on, anytime I ever make chicken Alfredo, there will be bacon in it because I realized it just works. It just works.
Bacon works is pretty much everything.
I agree. I agree that like yeah, it does.
Denny's had
Some
this
things
years and years ago. They had this menu that was all bacon menu, special menu, and they had a bacon milkshake.
Yep.
That was actually freaking incredible. It tasted just like waffles with bacon. It was so good.
I remember the bacon milkshake from Denny's. But I mean there are a few things like it just gets a little too salty with the bacon in there, but this was not one of them. The cheese and stuff offset it just perfect. Like it wasn't too salty. It was just oh man, I want more. If it wasn't 2 hours north, I would go there.
I'm one of the
Once
few
a
people in
week.
the world that doesn't like sweet and savory at the same time. So I cannot stand salted caramel. It drives me up a wall.
Well,
I
this
have no
was
idea
just
why.
savory and savory. There was no sweet. It was chicken Alfredo.
Oh yeah. I'm just saying, like the whole bacon milkshake somehow, some way worked for me.
Yeah, that's weird. I don't know. I'm a fan. I love.
Did we mention last week about Mortal Kombat 2 coming out?
We did not because we remember we both
I
saw
found
the
it
thing
right after
about
the
it
show.
right after we recorded the show.
I just remembered that because we didn't put it in the notes, but Mortal Kombat 2 is coming out, and I think it's coming out actually fairly soon.
Next year, I think it is.
Next year.
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
early next year is what I
October
heard.
24th.
Really?
Yeah,
So not
late
not
next
soon.
year.
I beg your
No.
pardon. That is late next year.
It's like fourth quarter next year, but it I don't know if it's the official title, but the poster I saw for or the screen makeup said Mortal Kombat 2. It has begun.
Even IMDb has it listed as Mortal Kombat 2.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying like it says it has begun. I don't know if
If you
that's
think
part
about
of
it,
the
though, in the
title or
Mortal
not.
Kombat that they did, the tournament never started. The whole
Right.
premise of the first movie was just Shang Tsung trying to cheat.
Right? Yeah, they never started.
So they never
the
started the
tournament.
tournament. So I was actually really curious about that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm a Mortal Kombat fan, big Mortal Kombat fan, and the first movie gives me a lot of hope for the second movie.
Yeah,
Well, if they stay on line with how they did the first movie, then yeah, the second movie should be just as.
If they can do a fight like they did, one of my favorite fight scenes ever so far is between Scorpion and Sub-Zero in that movie.
mm-hmm.
The way they did it was absolutely freaking fantastic. Again, another movie that was absolutely god-awful and terrible we won't mention had only one good fight scene. That was between Sub-Zero and Scorpion. But it wasn't as good as this recent one, though.
Which one's that? The first one?
The second
Oh.
one.
Yeah, the second one,
Annihilation.
and that was barely okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was the only thing that gives
goofy.
some kind of watching redeemability to that trash pile
Well,
that is Mortal Kombat 2 from
See,
them.
that's why I'm worried. I hope they don't do because the first original Mortal Kombat wasn't terrible. It was campy and it was.
Yeah,
It wasn't
I enjoyed
terrible.
it. I remember
But then the
sneaking
second
off
one,
at 16 to go see
Ugh.
that movie.
but then the
Parents would've
second
killed
one,
me.
everyone wants to forget happened. Now
Yeah.
they did it again. They made a good first one. I hope they don't make the
But
second
this one was really
awful.
good, though. Mind you, though, I'm still not a big fan. They added a character that's not in the original lore, but they made it fit.
right.
So
Yeah,
I
what-
can't complain too much.
You also got to
Oh, go ahead.
yeah,
No,
no,
talk.
you got to remember though, the original Mortal Kombat and Mortal Kombat Annihilation were toying with technology and trying to do stuff that wasn't really up to snuff, and the writing was just horrible.
The writing was
Yeah.
absolutely-
It was
Horrible.
terrible. They're trying to follow like the original lore behind Mortal Kombat after the tournament, but they failed completely.
They were rushing it.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm the only one here, and I'm assuming I probably am, but I wish that they would hurry up and come out with, like, I think they scrapped it, but I hope they didn't, the second Mighty Morphin Power Ranger movie, because
They scrapped it.
I liked the first one, and they ended it teasing Tommy Oliver, and then I want it.
Lionsgate canked it because while it did do decent in the worldwide, the single market in the US didn't do that great right off.
I had a really good thought about Mortal Kombat. You guys changed subject on me, and now I can't remember what it was. Oh, Jax. Little tidbit I picked up watching the movies. The first movie, the original movie, did it right. This current one did not do him right. Jax never had robotic arms in the first Mortal Kombat. He didn't get those until Mortal Kombat 2.
Right.
So, but this one, right away, he gets his arms torn off, and
I thought that he got Combat
the first
3
movie
is when
he's
he
got
got
normal.
mechanical.
it might have been 2 or 3. It was later on. It wasn't
Yeah,
one.
it
Though.
was
That was my point.
3 is when he got the mechanical arms because I remember him having regular arms in 2.
My favorite Mortal Kombat I've ever played, because I was a pro at it, was Mortal Kombat 4. Even though I really like the new modern Mortal Kombat X, was fantastic. I kind of want to play it again.
Excellent.
Mortal Kombat 4, I played that so much, I got unbeatable, won a tournament at Disneyland with that character. I was Raiden. It's the only time I've ever played a different character other than Scorpion in Mortal Kombat, because I could
My
juggle
favorite-
everything.
My favorite that I was, like, nationally ranked on was Mortal Kombat, the 2011, just Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, the reboot one.
Yeah, the reboot one. I
That was a phenomenal game.
so good at that game. I was so good at that game.
I did an online tournament when it first came out because I got it for me and my son, and I wound up winning it with Scorpion and never played again.
Yeah, I was on PlayStation Network. I was ranked number 3 in the world at the original or the Mortal Kombat.
I did a Mortal Kombat 4 tournament at Disneyland of all things, and I went with 27 double flawless victories. But
Nice.
then, yeah, but I won 34 or 35 matches to win it. And all I
The
got was a
only-
$200 gift card.
The only tournament that I ever went to for any game was for Soul Calibur 2. I went to a national tournament for that game, and I won that tournament. I think it was like a $200 gift card, and then I got this like custom like signed joystick thing that I wish I still had because it was kind of cool.
Before we get into Rook, I this is something I want to bring up because I was a pro gamer for a year, and if you guys have never tried just doing tournaments in games before, even if you don't think you're good enough, just try it. The rush you get out of it is insane. I loved World of Warplanes when it first came out. Me and my buddies dug into it. We decided, hey, they're doing a tournament. We're going to go check it out. Why not? Let's give it a shot. There's prize money. You never know. I wound up getting third, and he wound up getting fourth, and we got invited to a pro team after that. So I wound up being a pro gamer for a year just because I decided to give it a shot.
Yeah, I was young when I did the Soul Calibur 2 tournament, and I remember that everyone I played was completely ticked off at me because I won the entire tournament by just hitting random select in every round. I didn't even pick my fighter.
Man, I haven't done competitive gaming in years.
I'm just not into it. That's the only reason why I don't.
Yeah, I keep thinking about that because I love Battle Royale. I don't like PUBG, or especially don't like that other trash pile that everyone loves. Fortnite, yeah, I can't stand that thing.
I don't.
But
Or Apex.
when Blackout was out, absolutely loved it. Apex Legends I did for a little while. It was okay. I liked it. But then the new one, they need to go back to what Blackout was. If they did that, I'd be all over it.
You know a game that's kind of a battle royale style game? It's on mobile. That's really fun. And I'll sit there. I'll find myself playing it for longer than I should. But it's called Brawl Stars. It is so much fun. It is so much fun.
They recently, yeah.
Go ahead.
They recently, Bethesda released a new mobile game I'm checking out called Castles, based on Notice Rules.
So the only outside of Blackout and the first Modern Warfare reboot that they did with the Battle Royale, I actually would have liked to see them redo Battlefield, but back to where it was in Battlefield 4, because Battlefield, 49 or something like that? Whatever the newest one is, apparently it's bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of the new shooters have been pretty nasty lately.
A lot of the newer games, period, are gross.
Because they're just forgetting about the actual thing that makes a game. That's the play mechanics. They're getting gimmicky, and it's terrible.
The game that I went the hardest competing on, it's a Blizzard game. Take a guess. I'll give you a hint. It's old.
Hearthstone.
It's old.
StarCraft.
That was a fun game to play regardless.
Dude,
but I never played
StarCraft.
I never played online because so many Koreans play that game religiously, and they're really good.
Dude.
It's a big sport.
Yeah.
I actually did a podcast years ago about esports.
Yeah.
When I was a pro gamer.
StarCraft is huge in Korea.
And that, it's monstrous. Those guys can make bank doing that.
You want to know what game actually has me surprised that
but they're machines.
Is really good? Warcraft 40K Space Marine, that video game. Apparently, it's doing phenomenal.
The new one, Space Marine 2 or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, one of our listeners popped in chat the other day and was
They talked about it a little bit in our chat, too, in our Discord. Discord.gg/raw podcast. Be there.
Yeah. The kid, he was in there telling us all about that Space Marine game.
Rook,
wanting us to go
what have you been up to, man?
We
can go on that conversation all night.
Yelling at a customer service agent while recording.
Oh, awesome.
I know, right? I finally got my home office functional, so obviously I'm on my good mic.
Which is nice. Welcome back.
Yes, it is an office. I can close the doors so I don't have a lot of distractions around me. Now all I got to do is put soundproofing up so it actually feels like a studio.
And less echoey.
Hello?
Yeah, you didn't have to do the fake echo.
Yeah, dude, because I got to make it sound really cavernous.
We heard the real thing.
And really cheesy.
Don't make me yell, I love you, because then you'll just hear the, I just want to be friends echo.
Wah, wah.
All right, so I'm finally getting settled in. Me and my brother are rooming together here in Texas. We got a house. It had four bedrooms, but they called the one I'm making my office den. And it's good setup, and it is exactly where the fiber comes into the wall for AT&T. So
nice.
I'm connected directly to my router. Now that I'm all up and running, I played some Enshrouded this week. It's nice to play it on a computer that doesn't lag because, I'm sorry, my laptop's awesome and all, but it's running at 2060.
Yeah.
It's not going to keep up.
That's why I switched out of my laptop.
I didn't do much more than the initial testing because I had a massive migraine and all lights were hurting my eyes. It was bad enough to cause me to miss work. So I was like, nope. Also, as we were talking about, I played Battle Gears. Why am I thinking Baldur's Gate 3 with Widget? And like I said, I respec my character into a paladin because what I was planning on doing was going sorcerer and then going paladin. But then I realized it's easier to go the other way around. And I'm realizing I prefer martial combat with some spellcasting capability versus being a glass cannon.
I don't know. I kind of liked your glass cannon, but it's
My glass
working.
cannon had more hit points than almost everybody in the party. I'm trying to figure out how that worked.
Luck of the dice, my friend.
Luckily, Shadowheart is also a walking machine gun with her scorching rays and everything. As I forgot that she has certain spells outside of just healing. Because I'm always trying to heal. But that's pretty much been my week. There hasn't been too much with me being down for a few days and getting everything up and running. I did make Starfield Raw.
You did, which was awesome. We had our first 4-person episode.
Yeah, all the hosts were there for that episode.
For those of you who don't listen to Starfield Raw and only listen to this show, we have another host. His name's Kilo. He's on Starfield. So we got him, and then Archon and Rook in there. It was all 4 of us, and that episode was an hour and 20 minutes long.
Yeah, it was
worth
awesome.
Every minute, so go listen to it.
The reason why I was able to make that show was because I ended up calling out, but luckily my migraine cleared about 2/3 of the way through the day, so I was able to make that record.
Yeah, we were getting ready to record, and I looked up, and I'm like, I thought Rook was at work. And Widget's like, he is. I was like, no, he is on Starfield right now. I see him right here on Discord. And he's like, he is on Starfield. Let's get him in here.
And then I get a text and a Discord message from Widget saying, hey, want to join us on the show?
No, it was more like, get on the show.
Yeah.
Now.
So one thing I forgot to mention in my week through, because I noticed something that kind of irritated me this weekend. So getting ready for my trip, because I knew I was going to be at a campground. I knew I probably wasn't going to have like Wi-Fi or anything like that. So I downloaded the entire first season on Amazon Prime of Rings of Power.
Right.
I got there, got it all set up, and for some reason, explain to me how this makes sense. You have to be connected to Wi-Fi to watch the episodes you have downloaded.
Count verification. It's not brilliant.
That does not make any sense. What's the point in downloading it? If I have connection to the internet, I can just stream it
to make sure it's not being shared.
That was so
But if you have it downloaded, honestly, the whole point of downloading something onto the phone is so you can watch it while you're in an area without signal.
I had it downloaded onto my laptop, yeah. Because I brought the laptop with me, and I just connected the laptop to we have a little TV in our camper. Hooked that up HDMI. Was like, okay, let's go. Thankfully, I had like full service there, so I was able to turn on my hotspot and do it that way. But like, what is the point? Like with Netflix, if I download it, like I did that when I was flying out for WonderCon. I downloaded all of X-Men '97, and I was watching it on the plane because Netflix will let you do that. Or Disney Plus lets me download the episodes and watch them offline. That's the whole point of downloading the episode. But Amazon, nah.
I remember downloading it when I went on a flight and was able to watch them. I guess they changed it.
Yeah, it was annoying.
So we're gonna actually get into a little bit of news. We have a couple of minutes. We've, like usual, most of the show's already done.
We still got like 15, 20 minutes.
I wanted to bring this one up because I thought it was a really good talking point. You guys can either prove me wrong or right. Elon Musk recently announced, and it was actually about a week ago, because we were going to do this news article last week, but me and Archon got caught up in everything else like usual. And they're going to start launching starships to Mars in 2026. The first set will be unmanned in order to do a whole bunch of tests for entry into Mars, exit from Mars, can they harvest fuel from the atmosphere, things of that nature, and do it all safely. And they plan to have the first manned space flights to Mars in 2028. That's, in my mind, that's extremely exciting. That's 4 years.
That's crazy, considering
that
if they were to send something in 2026 to Mars, could it even get to Mars and back that quickly?
Yes.
In 2 years?
I think they're saying it's like 6 to 9 months travel time.
They're actually cutting that down to 5 months, I believe now.
Yeah, it's not very long of a travel time to Mars.
Not very long.
Well, yeah, 5 months is 5
I
months.
think a 5-hour flight is a long flight. I mean,
Okay,
5 months.
when we're
Honestly-
talking about space travel, 5 months isn't very long.
If you think
That
about
could
it,
make
if
the
you
warp
were
drives, dang it.
if you were doing this experience, I would love to go to Mars just to be in space on the route traveling. That would be insane. And recently, they had the first private spacewalk performed by SpaceX, and that was to test their new spacesuits, which are actually a lot more sleek, less cumbersome than NASA's versions, and they had the first non-astronauts do it. Now, mind you, the gentleman who did it was a billionaire by the name of Isaacman, and he funded the entire mission, which is estimated to be over $300 million. Now, they said if the other person on that flight that was not an astronaut or trained, or they were trained but not officially an astronaut, was also a millionaire, and he paid $33 million estimated to be on that flight. Now, it was a 2-hour spacewalk, and most of that time was in prep to pressurize cabin, things of that nature, and then go out. And I believe Isaacman was out for like 15 or 20 minutes, but they were 460 miles over the atmosphere. That would be so cool. They were actually out there for a few days.
Only if they did the moonwalk in space.
Man, I would love to experience something like this. I wish I was a billionaire just so I could do this one thing.
Now, if you did the moonwalk on the moon, would you just be walking?
Food for thought.
Yeah.
So yeah, in 2028, and they already have the designs out for actual living habitats on Mars and things of that nature. They plan to get set up for sustainability.
It's insane.
The fact that we have the
This is
capability
the
to
world
do
we
that,
live in.
yeah, we're getting closer to my dream of Star Trek. No, we just got to invent the warp system.
Okay.
I kind of stinks that I'm in my 40s and all this awesome stuff I dreamed about is happening now. Will I be able to see all the really cool stuff before I pass away?
Well, with how technology is going, I'm thinking by the time we're 80, we'll be able to download our conscience into androids and live that way.
AI for real.
We'll just live on through AI.
It wouldn't be artificial intelligence. It would be HI. Yeah, human intelligence.
Artificial intelligence takes over the world and they invent HI.
Yeah. So you know, guys, how the news is all about fear mongering. It's like the thing to do.
Yes. The
There's
news
an
doesn't
article-
talk about the news anymore.
No, it's a bunch of BS. Most of the time, you have to fact check the news, and
Yes.
oftentimes they're lying or they're wrong about many facts, or they embellish certain facts. Well, scientists from Yellowstone National Park. First, let me put it this way: you guys all know that Yellowstone National Park is a supervolcano, right? The entire
Yes,
thing.
it's the world's
Yeah,
largest
most people know that.
caldera.
It's
Exactly.
the one that if it ever blows, the whole Earth goes.
They have found they know that there are underground aquifers and pockets of water underneath the crust at Yellowstone. Now they're saying that it's become superheated, and if it were to explode from the pressure, which they think can happen, it would be the force of an atomic bomb going off at the park. And they said later on in the article that's like a 1 in a million chance, and they're saying it could happen anytime between now or 13,000 years from now. That just seems like fear mongering, but it's still we know that Yellowstone
It is
could erupt.
possible.
If Yellowstone
Yeah.
erupts, bye USA.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because I was actually just talking about this. I saw this article forever and ever ago, but I was actually just talking about this with my wife because there's that scene in Rings of Power in the first season where they put the little key in and turn the thing, and it causes this. You find out that this big trench they were digging was just to direct water into this like underground lava pit, which causes Mount Doom to explode. And yeah, and my wife's like, "Oh yeah, I mean, water wouldn't do that." I was like, "It
Oh, yeah.
100% would do that. Actually, it would cause so much pressure down there."
If you
All
have
the
billions
steam, all
of
the
gallons
pressure.
of superheated water that's been flashed into steam, and it's got
Yeah.
nowhere to go, it's gonna find a
would-
way to escape one way or the other,
Yeah, it would.
So-
and often with violent force.
Let's just drill really big holes. Vent the steam.
Right? Isn't that what Old Faithful's supposed to be?
It was funny because she was commenting about like she's like, "Oh, so really the whole reason they just dug this trench was to get under these villages?" I was like, "Just wait, you'll see
Yep.
what the point of the giant trench was."
And the last thing I have to say, which is interesting, I haven't brought up AI in a while, but it kind of struck me as interesting. The European Union's Digital Markets Act has made Apple take off their AI software off of the iPhone 16 in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
So there is regulation
just in
starting.
Europe.
I think the U.S. needs to get on board with regulating it
Well-
heavy.
So if previous trends hold true, that will happen in the US because USB-C was added to iPhones here recently because the UK and the European Union required Apple to get rid of their FireWire. So, and anything when the European Union pushes for it, it does trickle to the US because it just makes everything cheaper.
What
Yeah,
I don't
well-
understand is like why people are so up in arms over this when like literally for like $8 you can buy a cord that on both ends will convert from like USB-C to USB, and on the
It's a
other end it'll
pain.
convert from USB-C to and a lightning.
Because why do I need a cord that has multiple different things when I have
Because in
one
your house you
cord-
could have multiple different phones.
Yeah, but you
and
have still
almost
one
all of
USB-C.
them in modern days run USB-C.
Most things nowadays do.
Mhm.
A lot of things do, but they didn't.
But
Well,
that's
Apple
reason-
doesn't get with the times.
Everything used
But-
to run off these other stupid little cords, and then like Apple went to Lightning, and then Samsung went to USB-C, and now everyone's like, oh, you got to make everything USB-C. Why? I
Because it
remember when I
works.
was a kid. I used to have like 6 different DVD players, and every single one of them took a different cord to plug it in. That's just the way it's always been.
Doesn't mean it's the right way to do it. If you
Yeah,
can
I mean-
make things unified,
Man, you're
unify
starting to
'em.
sound like a Gen Zer. That's
it's
the way it's
just-
always been, man.
No, it's just nowadays everybody's like.
Well, the article, by the way, did mention that Apple AI is very clunky and
Yeah.
not up to snuff.
It's just like it seems like everything nowadays is we need to do this to make our lives easier. Like we're all gonna be like the dudes from Wall-E pretty soon, man. I'm telling you, we're gonna be floating around in little chairs, all fat people doing nothing because we've done everything we can to make our lives so easy. It's not good to make everything too
The
easy.
thought of getting overweight again just scares me.
Yeah. See, you need more than one charger in your life, so you don't
No.
get
No,
fat again.
I just need the
Let's
one
get
because
it right.
as an IT specialist, Apple drives me nuts. They have to be different, and it's a nightmare having to try and order all their stupid specialty cables when I have
Here's
a
what I
million and one
find
USB-Cs
funny.
everywhere.
I was reading this article and it so true. So somebody wrote this article or this comment and saying, so if everybody says Samsung is so great and Apple sucks, why doesn't Samsung always tell you why it's good? And then people in the comments were just starting rattling off every reason why it's good. And then the final argument was Apple uses half of Samsung's products anyway.
Yeah,
And then
their
somebody
screens are
po-
made by Samsung.
And then somebody posted the flip going, I've always explained why. I just never get answers from people who use Apple as to why it's a superior product.
Here's
You can't.
here's a comment to Joe or to Widget there. There's Apple's screens are made by Samsung, and the biggest complaint everyone has about Apple's is that their screens break too easy.
Do you think Samsung's going to pull out their best product for their competitor? No. And they're going to they charge them at market too.
The problem that everyone has with the problem that we'll say most people have with Apple products is made by Samsung.
No. It's
No.
Apple. Apple
So,
programming. Apple first
the-
party everything.
So if you really think about it, though, Apple's more of a fashion statement, while if you look at a lot of the everyday IT specialists and stuff, they're using Samsung because there's no proprietary data and it's easy to put kind of apps you want on that phone.
Yeah, you can do anything you want with it.
Yeah. Well, again, we are here with the it's easier, so I'm going to use the Samsung because it's easier.
Now, most people say when I ask them all the time, like, why do you use an iPhone? It's easier for me. I don't know how to use an Android.
Which
Okay,
is
you
funny.
I've used both.
yeah, this argument
I've
go
used
on and
both.
on, but
I've used both.
I have
had
both.
both, and once I switched to Apple, I never looked back.
I got an iPhone for work only for the reason of making sure that I fully know it for when I have to help employees fix their iPhones.
Now, Max,
I hate
on
it.
the other hand, I'll never
I-
use one.
I never use that work cell phone other than work. Only when I have to. It mostly sits there as nothing more than my authenticator.
Yeah, see, I had the opposite experience. Like, I tried a Samsung, and I didn't like it, and I've had nothing but Apple since.
So here's what's funny. I've used nothing but Samsung ever since Samsung started back when Sprint was still around. I switched to the Apple iPhone 13 mini. The only reason why I switched to Apple is because they're the only ones with a mini phone at the time. Samsung came out with the flip phone. As soon as my time was up on the 13 mini, I switched over to the Z Flip 4. And the only thing that Apple has proprietary that I used was twice. I used their FaceTime. That was
It's
it.
the only thing that Apple does better than Samsung is their messaging. That's it. There's nothing else better about it. Now, Samsung has been trying to get on par with Apple. Like, a lot of people don't know that Samsungs actually have a version of FaceTime. It's a video chat. People still know it exists because FaceTime's easy to use. It's right there. That's the only thing that Apple, I say, does right.
Yes, agreed. Their
Agree
messaging
to
system,
disagree.
and a lot of people, it's not hard. If they really wanted to, they could license out their iMessaging to Samsung and make it one universal messaging.
Which would be amazing.
But what do they care that the consumers want?
No, they don't. It's just about let's get a new iPhone. We'll call it S16. We'll add a little bit of AI that's clunky, and we'll charge everyone another $1,800 for it, even though it cost them about $500 to make it.
So what you're telling me then? Let me just make sure I'm hearing it right. My cell phone, which phone's primary use is communication. The one thing that Apple does better than Samsung is its communication.
No, just one small part of it. Everything
all
else in
the
that
other-
phone is
all the
highly
other
restricted. You
bells
have
and
to use
whistles.
iPhone proprietary software. You have to have it licensed. You have to pay for most all your apps. When I don't pay for a single app on my Samsung, and I can do, one of the big selling points for iPhone 16 was the exact same that got people laughing was the same stuff we've been doing on Samsung for the last 10 years, like able to move your apps around on the home screen.
Been able to do that for 10 years on my iPhone too.
No, that's not what I mean. But look it up. You'll laugh about it. It's interesting.
What are you talking about?
With the new features that Apple was toting about their iPhone 16 that they can do, it was the same stuff that we've been doing on Samsung for 10 years.
You mean how on Samsung I can put an app wherever I want on the screen and it doesn't just line it back up with the rest of the app?
Yeah, things like that.
iPhone hasn't been able to do that. 13 mini couldn't do it. My iPhone 14 from work can do it.
Yeah, same with my 14.
Yeah, it keeps them in box. It keeps them
Yeah.
organized.
Yeah, so on my phone, on one of my pages, I have around the border, I have all my apps. So that way I can see my picture in the center of the phone.
Chaos.
See?
Chaos. Sounds like chaos to me. That's chaos.
That is chaos.
This is organized chaos. And actually, I didn't arrange these apps. Someone else did.
See, I'm OCD, so you should see my desktop. All of my apps are everything I have is in either folders or organized nicely in rows.
Same on my desktop. I have all my games on my right side of the screen, organized by what I play the most. I have my editing software on the top of my screen, and my main files on the left.
I have a folder that says games, and I put all my games in it. I have a folder that says.
Well, the last
software.
thing on the
My
news,
editing
before we get down this rabbit hole further, The Wild Robot. What about this?
Oh, yeah. So DreamWorks' new movie, The Wild Robot, opened to a record high Rotten Tomato score for the company, which is actually impressive because I don't know about you, but seriously, one of my favorite animated movies is How to Train Your Dragon.
Yes.
It's even higher rated than that.
I saw the previews for Wild Robot, and it looked kind of hippy-dippy to me. I don't know.
You know, the first time I saw the previews for How to Train Your Dragon, I thought the same thing, though. I was like, eh. But I absolutely love that movie. And this movie opened to a perfect 100 score. Perfect 100 score, which, the critics, once all the critic reviews are in, there's always that one critic that just, he lives to make sure no movie ever gets 100%, so I'm sure it won't stay at 100%. But
That's still pretty impressive, though. I mean, I saw a lot of the advertisements saying, such the highest rated movie ever for DreamWorks and stuff like that, and I thought, that just seems like marketing BS, but it could have some truth to it.
Yeah, it opened up to a perfect 100% score.
And I've missed out on so many movies lately because I won't go alone.
It does give me hope.
26 reviews, 100% bad.
Yeah, that's not bad at all. I'm actually maybe thinking about going seeing it now because I really liked How to Train Your Dragon.
I've
That
always
one
loved
opened
DreamWorks.
to a 99. Yeah, that one opened to a 99 score. So that one was. I mean, this one's just a little better.
I'd say that DreamWorks is probably my favorite animating studio I've ever yet. A lot of their movies they've done I've absolutely loved.
I'll agree. I there's a few that I was like,
Yeah. You always have that.
But for most of their things, yeah.
You know who owns
Like them.
DreamWorks and runs it? One of the best directors ever.
No,
That one director that made that one movie.
He made E.T.
Spielberg.
Yes, and he did
As
Jurassic
long as
Park.
he didn't
and-
make the video games, we're good.
That's how I met.
didn't-
That's how I met Spielberg, was from DreamWorks when my game studio I was working for was working with DreamWorks to make a really terrible game.
I honestly did not know that he owned DreamWorks.
I didn't
Yeah.
know he owned DreamWorks. I just learned something new.
And apparently, he's very active in it too. He was
was
back then. I don't know if it
8 years
changed
old.
hands recently, but that's what it was years ago.
Googled it.
Interesting. I do like a lot of their movies. I'm not gonna lie. I know you hate Disney, and I'm not a big fan of Disney either. But there are a lot of Pixar movies that I really like too.
Pixar has done some good ones, especially before Disney bought them out.
When they made their like new movies and stopped just remaking or making sequels to all of their movies, they did some pretty good movies. And I like how Pixar always like hides something in their movie that like kind of previews the next movie, and if
Yeah,
you
they've
gotta
done
like
that, yeah.
be sharp to catch it.
DreamWorks
kinda-
doesn't put out as much movies as Pixar does.
Yeah, but they put out some good ones, like the How to Train Your Dragon series. I really like those movies.
Yeah, those are fantastic. I love every one of those movies they've done.
Hmm
And Toothless is my hero.
I'm not gonna lie. I like my kids have watched the How to Train Your Dragon Riders of Berk TV show, and that's even pretty good. So,
Yeah, I avoided that one. It looked a little bit too young for me, but
I mean, my kids watch it. I just
well,
the
guys,
living
that's
room TV is right by me, so
we are past time for this episode. Is there anything you guys want to bring up really quick before we end it?
Mm.
All right.
Not that I can think of.
After Archon's done hacking out along over here.
yeah, I love being sick.
All right, guys. So if you guys want to reach out to the show for advertising, for any kind of business-related stuff, please email us, podcastraw@gmail.com. That's the official way to get a hold of us. If you want to talk to any of the hosts, you can private message us on Discord or even go into our chat rooms and talk to everyone else, including us. That is our Discord, discord.gg/raw podcasts, RAWPODCASTS. If you don't know what Discord is, look it up. You'll be pleasantly surprised by it. All the cool kids are doing it. You can follow us on Facebook, Raw Podcasts. Our Twitter is Podcast Raw. Our Instagram,
Raw Podcast 1.
you can follow us individually as well. I am at the widget, THEWIGIT, on everything, and you can use that name to look up my books as well.
You can find me everywhere as some variation of Tomcat213, or in the case of Steam and X, Rook213.
And you can find me on all social media as the Archon606 or on video game platforms as Quick QWICK_D_606.
A little quick shout out to Rabbit Proof Gaming. Thank you so much for coming on earlier this week and having a chat with me. I really enjoyed it. It was awesome. And yeah, look forward to talking to you again. And that's it for this week, guys. Thank you so much for listening and have a fantastic week.
Y'all stay nerdy now. You hear?
Have a great week, guys.